The National Water Resources Board says there is stable supply of water this dry season, but the agency is still calling on the public to conserve water in preparation for the impact of the El Nino. Another round of oil price rollback is expected next week with global banking concerns driving price cuts. And in sports, the De La Salle Lady Spikers keep their record unblemished in women's volleyball after sweeping the NU Lady Bulldogs for a second time in the tournament. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your weekend. I am Mon Gualvez. We begin today's newscast with resigned Sugar Regulatory Administrator David Alba reiterating that his leaving the agency was purely for medical reasons. In a statement, Alba dispelled rumors connecting recent sugar importation issues to his resignation. He also maintained that he would have continued to serve the agency had he been in better health. Alba's resignation came after the SRA drew flack for allowing the importation of over 400,000 metric tons of sugar, which the SRA board maintained was done legally. Hog raisers in Luzon have lost billions as the African swine fever tears through the country. According to the Pork Producers Federation of the Philippines, ASF has caused a 50% decline in the country's livestock population since 2019. Latest data from the Bureau of Animal Industry showed that only the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao is free from the swine disease. The group added that retail price of pork may continue to increase if the spread of ASF is not contained. The National Water Resources Board assures the public that there is still sufficient water supply in Metro Manila. NWRB Executive Director Dr. Civilio David Jr. told 1PH that water level at the Angat Dam is stable and the highest compared to previous years.
Yan po, ang level po ng tubig sa Angat Dam ay nasa 204 meters po. No? Masasabi pa nating maganda po, no? Medyo komportable pa ang level.
However, the agency is still urging the public to use water responsibly after Pag-asa announced the likelihood of El Nino being felt by the third quarter of the year.
Ang Pag-asa nagkaroon ng advisory ng El Nino watch na mas maganda po ay gamitin ng tama ang tubig at maging responsable po at magtipid po kung kinakailangan.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I am Mon Gualvez. Another oil price rollback may be in the cards this week. Unioil forecasts that gasoline prices may go down by as much as 75 centavos per liter, while the price of diesel is seen to decline by over 1 peso per liter. If the rollbacks push through, this will be the second straight week of price cuts for gasoline and the third for diesel. The Energy Department said higher oil inventory and concerns over the global banking sector can be attributed for the expected price cut in fuel. Chinese President Xi Jinping styling himself as a mediator in the Russian-Ukraine war. But how does this affect China-Russia relations? Let's find out from this Bloomberg report.
A journey of friendship, cooperation, and peace. That's how Chinese President Xi Jinping referred to his latest visit to his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. And this friendship is surely thriving, especially on the economic front. Xi's three-day visit to Moscow comes at a critical time for Russia. The country is facing unprecedented sanctions by the US and its allies over Putin's invasion of Ukraine. The Russian economy shrunk by 2.1% last year, and the country is expected to lose $190 billion in gross domestic product by 2026 because of the war. Against this backdrop, Beijing has offered Moscow much-needed economic and diplomatic support. China's imports from Russia have soared since the war began, providing the Kremlin with a vital source of cash. One of the key imports driving this trend? Oil. China's imports of Russian naphtha and fuel oil have increased significantly in the last year. Yet, in his visit to Moscow, Xi avoided making any commitments regarding a potential deal on gas with Russia, signaling some hesitation from China on appearing too close to the Kremlin. So what does this mean in terms of China's position on the war in Ukraine?
What this shows us is that China has decided very much to support Russia economically through trade and investment, even as it tries to position itself increasingly as a potential mediator on the war in Ukraine. And that regardless of what Xi Jinping may think himself about the conflict, he's not going to take any actions that might be seen to be taking the lead from the US or the West more broadly. And so when it comes to the war in Ukraine, for China, it's very much a balancing act.
The Adamson Lady Falcons ended UST's 3-game winning streak in the UAAP Women's Volleyball. Tricia Tubu scored the most for Adamson with 21 points. UST tried to push a fifth set after Aimee Hernandez scored consecutive aces, but that wasn't enough to stop the Lady Falcons. Adamson is now at a 6-2 slate, while the Golden Tigresses hold a 5-3 win-loss card. Meanwhile, the Lady Spikers welcomed head coach Ramil De Jesus back with a win against the National University Lady Bulldogs. This is the LSU's second win against the defending champions. Jolina De La Cruz led the Lady Spikers and was player of the game with 12 points, while Bella Belen paced NU with 17 points. LaSalle remains undefeated in 8 matches, while NU is now tied with UST at third. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I am Mon Gualvez. We are One News.